Hello, my friends. D.L. Anderson here. Welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast as we share the truth concerning these last days and what you must do to save yourself from the violent times that are just ahead. Today's podcast is a word of truth accounting of the end times. The end is coming. The end is near. Today's podcast is entitled End Times 335, An Intro to Faith, Part 1. The Power of Developing and Maintaining a Firm Foundation. The podcast objectives are lay a foundation for our analysis of faith, analyze the importance of a firm foundation, and reveal the significance of the war between doubt and your faith. This lesson contains timelines and other visuals. Therefore, if you are listening to the podcast, I advise you to watch the video version on our website or YouTube, or request a PDF of the lesson so you can add the visual effect. All you have to do is seek. Shalom, my beloved brothers and sisters, and welcome to day 71 of our exposition of lawlessness. In the most recent podcast, the Spirit led me to give a call to the colors as it pertains to the battles we are fighting with doubt. Here again, it doesn't matter how big or how small you think your battles are. Yahuwah is only interested in whether or not you win your battles. Yahuwah is only interested in whether or not you complete his work. And that's why we are all still here. It's why I'm still here teaching these lessons. And it's why you're still here receiving the word of truth Elohim has given me to share. It's because the clock is ticking and we are running out of time to rid ourselves of self-reliance, distrust, and despair. Therefore, today is the day we move forward in these lessons on doubt. To wit, we are shifting our focus from analyzing the spiritual disease of doubt to analyzing the spiritual power we have been given to defeat doubt once and for all and forever. Enter faith. Now, before I begin this transition to faith, there is one thing I would like to make very clear, and I would state it as an inflection point for emphasis and to lay a foundation for all the lessons the Spirit is leading me to teach on this topic. I will in no wise say all there is to say about faith, for the simple fact that we just don't have the time. As I have been declaring from the very start of this end time series, time is of the essence. The time is at hand. The end is coming. The end is near. Therefore, I will constrain myself to largely critiquing faith against the spiritual disease of doubt in order to show you how you can use the power of faith to defeat doubt. Again, once and for all and forever. Nevertheless, I will remind you that Yahuwah has inspired me to write several large volumes on these topics over the years. And when I say volumes, I mean volumes, tomes that contain more than 1,000 pages. Therefore, if anyone desires a more intimate accounting of faith, or any of the degrees of holiness or lawlessness, all you need to do is ask. For although I am being led to move forward with these lessons with a heightened sense of urgency, It is important to Elohim and to me that no one is left behind. And that starts with me letting you know that I have a wealth of information at the ready. All you have to do is seek, and you will most certainly find. The power of a firm foundation. Now, commencing with this intro on faith, I would like to analyze faith in view of all the degrees of holiness, specifically the fact that faith is the foundation of the pinnacle of holiness. We know this because Peter introduces this model, declaring, add to your faith virtue. You can see this by observing the image to the left. Faith is clearly the foundation of the pinnacle of holiness. And thus, every degree of holiness is only operational due to and as an extension of our faith. This is a key matter which testifies to the vast significance of faith in our quest for holiness, perfection, and everlasting life. More than anything, it is because faith is the most pervasive of all the degrees of holiness. As I have said before, every step we take on the path to perfection carries a measure of faith and obedience, for obedience is the primary application of faith. This is why the quest for holiness is often referred to as a faith walk. It is because faith supports every other level within the pinnacle of holiness, which is why Yahuwah, in his infinite wisdom, placed it at the foundation. For we can do nothing of spiritual value apart from faith. 2 Corinthians 5:6-7 reveals, therefore, we are always confident, for we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 4:18, we are not looking on what is seen, but on what is not seen. For what is seen passes away, but what is not seen is everlasting. Psalm 11:3, if the foundations are destroyed, what shall the righteous do? And Matthew 7:24-27 reads, therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and does them shall be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain came down, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them shall be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain came down, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and they beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. Now, these passages speak to the vast importance of having a firm foundation to support all the spiritual work you must complete to master the Father's will, understanding that mastery is the single requirement upon the seal of Elohim and ultimately everlasting life. As it pertains to the seal, I will show you a revelation in the form of an interest point, and I will validate it with the scriptures. This is one I would advise you to bookmark and to always keep in mind as we progress these lessons on faith. The only way you will obtain the seal of Elohim is if you develop and maintain a firm foundation of faith. For the man or woman who develops and maintains a firm foundation of faith will be able to withstand everything that comes their way. They will eliminate every degree of lawlessness. For they know Yahuwah, their Elohim, and he knows them, for he has sealed them, and they are his. 2 Timothy 2:19 confirms this matter, saying, however, the solid foundation of Elohim stands firm, having this seal. Yahuwah knows those who are his. And let everyone who names the name of Messiah turn away from unrighteousness. A heavyweight fight you must not lose. Now, the sum of these matters confirms my earlier assertion that the mind is the primary battlefield as it pertains to spiritual warfare. It is for the following reason, which I will offer as an inflection point. Faith is a power of the mind, and seeing as faith is the degree of holiness that supports the rest, it is also the degree which experiences the greatest assaults from the enemy. This should be clear to see by observing the diagram to the left. As all the degrees of holiness are supported by faith, the enemy understands that he can cause the greatest damage by simply attacking our faith. For as faith is the foundation of the pinnacle of holiness, any successful assault on our faith will always result in the greatest damage, and it will always have an impact on our ability to operate in the degrees from obedience to love. Look, here again, Satan knows this, which is why his attacks against our faith are so fierce and numerous. And it is why he uses doubt as his weapon of choice. It may be an early fight as it pertains to our overarching quest, but the war between faith and doubt is a heavyweight fight, my friends, and it is one you cannot afford to lose. As I have said before, if you lose your faith, you will eventually lose everything. It's just a matter of time. And so I encourage you to be strong in Yahuwah and the power of his might in everything you do. For as you were made to be holy, doubt shall not reign over you. Now, here is the final word. The rock of every man and woman in this nation is a mind of faith and a firm foundation. I don't suspect this is news to anyone following this ministry. We didn't receive the Spirit yesterday. We didn't start fighting the good fight in recent times. Like me, many of you have been running this race and fighting this fight for many years now, more than half your life. Ergo, we are battle tested. We are professional soldiers and career warriors. Spiritual warfare is not a game. It is serious, and winning is what we do. And we know there are many keys to victory, and there is no key independently better than the rest. And yet, the one key that opens the door to all the others is faith. And that is why doubt is the first enemy we must eliminate, and faith is our first test. Now, here is today's assignment. Meditate on the word you have heard today. And as always, ask the Father to reveal the truth to you. For the children of Elohim live by conviction. And if he has not convicted you, or if you had not heard him concerning these matters, you should pray until you do. Today, I want you to meditate on the role faith plays in your life. Specifically, I want you to meditate on the role of faith as the foundation of your quest for holiness. And I want you to ask yourself the following questions. Does my faith in Yahuwah and his will represent a firm foundation? Do I believe I can do all things through Yahushua Messiah, who strengthens me? Am I steadfast and immovable in the work he has given me? Meditate on these questions and any other questions the Spirit leads you to consider related to your faith. And should you find any areas of growth, plan to address these in the upcoming weeks as we focus on faith. And as always, please reach out if you have any questions. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, End Times 335, an Intro to Faith, Part 1. And the next podcast is entitled End Times 336, an Intro to Faith, Part 2. I will post this podcast on Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. Until then, my friends, continue to be led by the Spirit of Elohim, continue to watch, continue to pray, continue in fasting, and most of all, continue to be focused, for the end is coming. The end is near.